I am not Jeff Moss. Just FYI. I am not the Dark Tangent. It's like we get confused all the time. I'm Jason E. Street, but Jeff couldn't be here because there was way more important things to do, obviously, which is okay. It's like we're cool with that. I'd also like to introduce Waz, the DCG coordinator. Thank you. Yeah. He's the supervising adult that makes this work. And I'm Jason E. Street. I'm the DCG ambassador because I travel all over everywhere. So they decided, hey, and I like DEF CON anyway, and I talk about it everywhere, so they put me in there as the ambassador. We got Brent White, Big Killer, part of the DCG, and also DC 615. And we've got Grifter from DC 801. And we got June Lee from DC 010, from all the way from Beijing, China. Amazing. And we've got Soups. He's an integral part of DCG, and he's also the head of the DC 225 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And we have the myth, the legend, Major Malfunction from all the way from London, England, DC 4420. So I guess I'm gonna now go. Look, I'm no longer Jeff over here. I'm now me again. There we go.
Oh, hey, Jason.
So hi.
Good to meet you.
So a little bit about things that I do is this is a actual picture from a DEF CON group meeting. Last year, trying to make DEF CON groups a little bit more global, I took it upon myself to travel even more, and I went through Asia because there's not that many DEF CON groups in Asia. So I literally started out in Beijing, went to Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Singapore, and Thailand, talking to hacker spaces and maker spaces in all those cities, trying to get them to start up. I'm happy to say that thanks to actually Julie's here, it's like we've got a DEF CON group now in Beijing, Hong Kong, Shenzhen, and Singapore. So that's really cool. They've already had meetings. They're doing really good work. So this is the one from Hong Kong. I started off there, and we're also working on getting some DEF CON groups. We got one started in the Garden Route and Johannesburg in South Africa. We're working on another one in Cluj-Napoca, Romania, and we're trying to make it way more global. And oh yeah, there are some other pictures of me as I'm traveling. It's like that's from Singapore.
The robot DEF CON group, right?
Yeah, I was trying to. Hey, I do not discriminate. It's like it's a global, inclusive community. Robots as well, because there are new overlords. Not everybody appreciated how I did ambassadorship. Some were a little bit more handsy or less handsy than I like. So, but it worked out. This was a great meeting in Singapore with Jeff Moss. That's actually Jeff Moss, the one in the middle. And then Dino Dazavi at the News Hacker Space, News Hacker meeting, which was really cool. And then this is Adrian from the Garden Route, who started the Garden Route DEF CON group. So I think this the State of the Union is really good. We're getting a lot more global. And I mean, we're getting DEF CON group inquiries from Colombia, from Turkey. It's from Europe. It's like we've done a lot of great initiatives. It's like for DEF CON groups coming out, and we're expanding that, which I think is very important. DEF CON groups is not a Western-centric or a U.S.-centric organization. It should be, everybody. And what we're doing now, and the new initiative that we're working on, that I literally just said, YOLO, let's try to make this happen. So it's going to either be spectacular or fail spectacularly, but either way, spectacular.
Jason, can I interrupt you for a second?
Yes.
You're killing the captioner.
Killing the caption?
You've got to slow down. Look at that thing over there.
Oh, am I talking too fast? Wow. I didn't know that's going on. Hi. OMG.
You guys got in there. You're on the board.
Oh, that's so cool.
Okay.
They got to see
Right.
everything. Oh, sorry. I'm getting distracted. Okay.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. I love pizza. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Bring it back.
Okay. Sorry. So the initiative that we're going to do is I was at a crime conference thing for small businesses that were thrown together by a Homeland Security in Tennessee, Memphis, which is, of course, where you think of when you think of Homeland Security. And one of the guys there, one of the feds whose name he does, for some reason he doesn't want me to say what his name is here. It's like, though everybody would be able to get a free T-shirt.
It was Jason Street.
Yeah. He was very interested in the initiative that I talked to him about having DEF CON groups all over the world connect with law enforcement, because that seems natural and like just totally cool, right? You know, like chocolate and peanut butter. But the reason why is I want to see the DEF CON groups to connect and get involved with, initiate contact with law enforcement, so the law enforcement can introduce the DEF CON groups to schools. We're going to create a script that we're going to put up on our website, and we're going to put reading material and documentation for schools on our website for online safety and what hacking is and how to protect yourself online. And instead of having police officers and law enforcement who come over and talk about the evil hackers that are breaking into your Facebook and your Instagrams, we're going to have vetted DEF CON group members come to schools and tell children and students what hacking is, what it's about, and how to protect themselves. Going to a school, an elementary school, as a hacker in your hoodie going, hey, I want to talk to your kids about online safety. That's not going to work out so well. But if we can actually get law enforcement to serve us a little bit here, it's like then we can actually use the system to help us further the message and the positivity of what hacking really is. And I want that to be a global thing, not just a U.S. thing. So it's like we're already talking about to other countries, to other groups, to talk to the law enforcement in their country and get an engagement and engage with them. So you pick like 2 DEF CON group members that will pass a background check, or 1 if you know certain groups. It's like you can get 1. It's like
We can only get 1.
exactly. It's like so if you can get 1, it's like have them be the point man. And then have that going on. So we're going to start working on that. Brent is going to be working with the Fed because he's in Nashville. That's where he's stationed out of. And they're the DC 615 in Nashville. So that's going to be our pilot project. But once that gets hammered down, I want this everywhere by the end of the year. It's like where hackers are going to schools and telling kids what it's like and how to protect themselves and what hacking is. Let's change the narrative there and then go outward. So that's what I would like to hope we can start.
So something I want to add on to that, Jason. So my daughter's in elementary school. My wife and I went and spoke for Career Day. And so I spoke about hacking and, what hacking is and all this stuff. And so I thought it went really well, but as we were leaving, the kids were at lunch, and I think this kid was in 2nd or 3rd grade, and he goes, "Oh, you're the one that spoke about hacking." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "So can you teach me how to break into banks where cops don't see me?" And I was like, "No, wait, you got this all wrong." So we've got to make sure that those conversations don't come up in this initiative.
It's not technically wrong. I mean, it's what
Yeah.
Jason does.
Well, but he he was like, where the cops can't see me and stuff. And I was like, you need to stop watching so much TV there, kid. So anyway.
As long as you have the paperwork, you're good.
Yeah. All right.
Hi. So I'm going to talk about what DEF CON groups are, or more like where they came from as well. So I'm Grifter from DC 801. DC 801 and DC 719 are the original DEF CON groups. Hold on, I want to see if it says like Jason opening Diet Pepsi on the caption. Sound of carbonation escaping the bottle.
Jason spewing on the floor.
We broke him. Okay, so basically they came about because we had a pretty good group of folks out in Salt Lake City, which is where DC 801 is from, and we were running 2600 SLC. We had, I think at the time that we flipped from a 2600 meeting over to the concept of a DEF CON group was about 50 people would show up every month in a food court and kind of descend on it and have a mini con, which was really cool. But it basically came about because at the time, 2600 magazine was, by a lot of people in the group, getting political. Like it was actually telling people like, oh, you should vote like this if you want to support these things. If you're a hacker, you should be voting this way and stuff. And we're like, regardless of what their political views are, that's just not cool. So we said, well, what can we do where we can still have a good name around it and then have this group thing? And so I talked to DT and said, hey, what do you think if we did this? And he was like, that sounds awesome. Talk to Russ. And Russ is who was in DC 719. So I called up Russ and we kind of worked things out over the course of about a month or two. And then we launched our meetings and we started them in February and then we announced them in the next summer at DEF CON. So they had been going on for about 6 months. They're awesome. I mean,
it was DEF CON 12, right? DEF CON 13.
Yeah, it was early on.
It was DEF CON 12 or 13, I remember when it first started there.
For sure. Wait. Yes, because we were still at the AP.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So now DEF CON groups are everywhere. They're all over the world. So if you're looking to join a group, check the website, see if you can find one that is already established. And if you don't see something, please start one. So how do you start one?
Wait. Hey, Grifter, what's the website?
What is the website? Hasn't it been on every slide?
Yeah.
All right. Dear Captioner, please type defcongroups.org.
No.
Damn it.
Close enough. Close enough.
That'll work.
Look what you did.
www.defco. No. Now they got it. All right, we got to stop messing with the caption person. So go to the DEF CON Groups website, look for a group that's around you, and if there isn't one, start one. And when I say if there isn't one, that doesn't mean if there's one that's 30 minutes away that's too far, so you should start another one. Like get in the car or on a bus and head over there. I think that was something that started to happen with 2600 meetings as well, where it was like there's one here and then there's one like 5 blocks over because people didn't want to commute. So.
All right, so the next thing is like, how do you get people to attend? It's like I get a lot of questions when people are approaching me and I'm talking to them in different areas and in different places, and they're saying like, well, how do I get people to attend? What's really going to be drawing? What do I do with it? And the first thing I tell people, it's like, if you get 2 people at your first DEF CON group meeting, awesome.
Yes.
That's great. That's a good start. It's like, and you just work from there. It doesn't have to be, oh, we didn't get 20 people showing up. It's like, it's got to start organically. So it's like you got people by word of mouth. It's like you've got social media. I know people that are starting with just Facebook pages because they don't have a website yet. So start off by that. Start by broadcasting it out on Twitter. CC the DEF CON Group's Twitter handle, and we will amplify that for you, or James will amplify that for you, and it'll get that word out. So you can start doing it that way. Just start finding a good location that's central for a lot of people to get to in a nice area where they usually have alcohol. For some reason helps. It's like, and maybe if a projector screen, even better. And start it off there. It's like start getting people to show up by like giving them something to show up to. You can't just say, hey, you want to sit around and get drunk and talk hacking? It's like, which actually works for a lot of people, but but you got to give them have a talk, start a talk somewhere, get involved. And another key thing I want to make sure we understand, DEF CON groups does not replace or supplant any other organization that's going on in that city. It's like, if you can't say, well, I want to start a DEF CON group, but there's also 2600 or a CitySec or some other hacking or security related group going on too. So no, I can't do it. That's not what it's about. It's like there's always room for more people connecting and being together and working to make things happen. So don't let that be an excuse. Don't let that be a reason you're not starting a DEF CON group in your area.
Yeah, so
that was the longest sentence I've ever heard.
Yeah. So
I'm going to interrupt you now. Some practical advice on finding a location. What we found in London, there's a lot of really good setups like nightclubs and bars and so on that don't actually open until quite late. So one of our first locations was a nightclub that gets going at midnight, and we don't want to be having a group meeting starting at midnight. So they've got a space that's all set up with projectors and the bar and lights and space and so on, and it's standing empty, and it's in the centre of London. So we found we could actually get into that space really cheap, well, free in fact, because generally you don't get charged to use a bar or somewhere that serves food if you bring enough people in that they actually start, paying, giving money over the bar or buying food and so on. So they don't charge you for use of the room. And we're done by 11, 12. So that's the point where they're gearing up for their main business. So we're giving them a use for their empty space. And actually that's how we got started. So yeah, we ended up moving to a pub because they were charging us nightclub prices for drinks, even though we weren't in a nightclub. Well, we're in a nightclub, but we're not in a nightclub environment, if you know what I mean.
So some of the things that we did for DC 615, you had mentioned, how do you get people to attend? So one of the things that we did, we have a really good B-Sides conference that goes on, Little Loss, and then we have Jeff and some other people that were kind enough to let us, do a quick little blurb during the opening ceremony, and they were able to carve out a little room for us to go talk to people and tell them about the group. Website, social media, obviously, and then, college campuses, if they let you hang up flyers, in the technology room and areas like that to kind of get the word out. And I'm glad that you mentioned that too, about how we're trying not to compete with other meetups. And that's one of the things, Nashville, there's quite a few other meetups that go on. So before we even started the group, we did some research and made sure that we weren't stepping on anyone's toes, because that's the last thing we want, is to get, politics and any drama involved in that. So we were pretty careful about that.
I didn't know we weren't supposed to compete with the other meetings. Like, we have gangland style fights with them.
Well, if that's your style, cool.
I guess. Well, yeah. Well, dance off.
Oh yeah.
Break dance fighting. No, we do some similar things. We have a couple of local conferences that take place in Utah, St. Con and B-Side Salt Lake City and Hack West, and so we work with those guys to get the word out at those events. To your point, college campuses, that's a big one. We'd go and put flyers, around the CS department, or up on any boards and stuff that were there, as well as if there still are any existing bookstores in your area, we would put flyers like in, Linux Journal or like-minded magazines, and we'd get people from that as well.
The frequency of meetings, we forgot to mention the frequency of meetings. Some people have them for every month. It's like once a month. It's like I've heard some that's had it like every 2 weeks, which is like, I don't know anybody that wants to see every 2 weeks. But they have those. And so some have them like every quarter. So it depends on what kind of frequency you want to have it. There's no set frequency.
It's my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to milk that captioner. I hope everybody here can survive. I come from China. Let me sit down. I come from China. I started a DEF CON group in Beijing, the DEF CON group 010. and we have like frequently we meet very frequently. We have like over 200 people every meeting. And regarding the frequency of meeting, I think, regarding the competition, I don't think you should compete with other conferences because we are different, we are unique. For example, I think the DEF CON group, because we are so meeting so frequently, and we don't need the content to be so too advanced, too complicated, too new. I think we have a meeting every 3 months, and small meetings not per month. I think maybe just a few people, and also have a chat group to discuss some certain stuff. So, yeah, and the DEF CON group, I think the contents need to be basic, and the targeting audience is different. The targeting audience for our group, I think, is more like the college students and like the amateur practitioners, and so it's different. You don't have to compete with other conferences. And regarding the how to get people to come, and I think as you are organizing this event, you have to make this event a meaningful stuff to do. So I found it frustrating when the attendees is very interested in the lockpicking village, because we have the nano version of village, so people can discuss different areas like the cryptography, 3D printing, and other stuff. But the people tend to go to the lockpicking village. So I found that quite frustrating, because as a hacker, you need to know the cryptography, reverse engineering, and wireless security and stuff. So I talked with Jason on a taxi, and I found that the reason that I like that is because it's more like you can feel and touch it and see the result instantly. So I start to think. So now the next meeting I'm planning to do this. I built a robot which you can control via a web interface. And the robot is connected to the cloud using Wi-Fi, so you can do wireless security. You can do web penetration penetration to control the robot, and finally you can play with my cat. So this turns the information expertise in so you can use their expertise to get some physical feedback. So that's how I can get people's attention. And we made all those swags very cool, so they can we publicize this kind of stuff. They want it, they will come. So that's the first step to attract them. I think this.
To the point about not competing with other entities, us in the Bayou down in Baton Rouge, we actually work really close with the local maker group, and we found that our disciplines, while different, they're more hands-on with electronics and everything. We're more about the technical software side of things. They mesh well, so we actually share a makerspace. We do presentations there with them. They bring unique viewpoints to a lot of the projects that we work on, and we bring viewpoints or unique viewpoints to where they're working on too. So that worked out well for us so far.
So I guess next we'll kind of go down the line and just quickly talk about some projects that we do. I know, Junli, you already kind of mentioned a few which sound very interesting. So I know just a few that we've done in Nashville. As Junli mentioned as well, we try to keep things, different levels of people that are just wanting to learn very basic things all the way to having things more advanced for those who are interested. So we try to consider that. So something fun that we did, we all got Raspberry Pis, built a RetroPie. And so you can see we kind of took it a few steps further with the wireless controllers and the wireless keyboard and things like that.
That's hot.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty sexy, huh? Yeah. So and then
we're going to need the plans for that.
Yeah, okay. So those are actually on our website, dc615.org. So if you're interested in that. Yeah, or 201, there you go. So another thing that I don't have a picture of it, but another thing that we did too with the Raspberry Pi is we implemented the touchscreens and taught people how to install the Kali Linux distro, and then changed the kernel where the touchscreen would work with that. So that was a little bit more advanced for them. So that was fun. Here's a this was one of our very first meetings. This is Ski Boy. Ski Boy's awesome. If you ever get a chance to hang out with him, smart dude. But and so we actually in Nashville, it's kind of hard to find places that are open. You don't have to pay a whole lot of money for. So this, I think, was Chris Scott, Cyber Assassin. He's a member of our group. This was at the clubhouse of the apartments that he was staying at downtown. And then currently we have Dan Augustine, who is at another very nice place downtown, and we're able to use his clubhouse. And it's furnished, and they have pool tables and everything too. So that works out. One of the things we like to focus on too, if you've never presented before, or you have a topic that you are presenting on, and you want to do a dry run, we'll go through those things as well. Our DC615 badge, my batteries actually fell out on the way over here. So, but yeah, the LEDs, and then we also have it where you can program the Arduino and scroll whatever message you want, or you can make them super bright and troll people at parties where they can't see anymore, which is not very cool. So yeah, there's a picture with that. And then here's a picture of a lot of us actually spending time soldering, teaching people how to solder basic electronics and so on. So, Soups, yep.
Yeah, so this, back to the point about reaching out to kids, we go to the Maker Faire. It's hosted at the library every year. There's a bunch of different groups from around the area, and we have a little booth to kind of display our projects that we've worked on throughout the year, as well as just kind of spread the word about what we do. We do lock picking a lot, and like you were saying, it kind of helps the whole tactile aspect of it, getting people kind of into the scene helps out a lot. You can go to the next one. Yeah, this contraption. It's actually a remote controlled Roomba. He hacked it and uses a controller to actually move it around. I think he had a little horn to it as well. It's rather cute. I'm not entirely sure what he's doing with the neck and the screen as of yet. He's still working on it. He actually had an AK-47 attached to it for a little while, which is kind of scary.
It looks like a telepresent.
Yeah, he wanted to put like a microphone on it, so just talk out. I don't know if he's going to use a megaphone or what, but it's getting kind of top heavy right now.
Next one?
Yeah, go ahead. We have a really smart kid. His name, he goes by Cryo. And this was a Game Boy that he hacked. He actually found a couple of vulnerabilities in some of the original Pokemon games that he's utilized to kind of do speed runs, but he at one point hacked a little logo on there for us. So we're actually also working on, a couple of years ago, we worked with the Cyber Patriot program, which is an Air Force initiative to go out to schools and train high school students for a competition that they end up competing out throughout the year. And it works really well with the new initiative that we're going on with the DEF CON groups. It basically gives us an avenue to kind of communicate what security is, and that hackers aren't all bad. So,
just mostly.
Most of us. Jason's kind of shady sometimes.
So I don't have pretty pictures because I'm a busy person and I don't respond to email.
True story.
It is fair. You gotta text me. Here's my number. No, that's not a thing. So projects that we work on, DC801, we do a lot of things. One of probably the flagship project for us is the hacker space in Salt Lake City, which is called 801 Labs. We basically do all of our projects out of there. That's where we have our meetings. So when we have a meeting, it's out of Hackerspace. Jason has been out there before. We have a lockpick village and tamper evident room, a hardware hacking room, and like all other kinds of dedicated classroom where we teach each other different things. And where when we do the DC801 meetings, we have like a webcam that we stream everything to YouTube so that when the talks are done for that month, they're immediately available online.
Did you take that webcam out of the bathroom?
No, that one's still there. The bathroom webcam will be there forever. It would be silly to remove it. What are you saying down there? Just tell us. Start the Q&A in 3 minutes.
Oh, it's my
Thanks.
turn?
Yes.
Your turn.
Okay, I'd like to share with you what we're going to talk about now. Should we talk about now?
Wireless nano wireless.
This is the nano villages we did. So because people's interests are different, so I started to like mimic the DEF CONs to like do the nano version of villages. So I put actually thanks to the support of my team. These are all my team's gadgets. The equipment are all come from my team. So as you can see later, all this. Yes. Actually, I did a talk at a presentation back about hacking because we have many members on my team. They are doing different things. So those are the speakers and the supporters of some. You can say many of them come from my team, and the places where we meet is in my company's meeting room. So thanks for the support of my supervisors, my leaders. Yeah. Also, the money comes from my company. Yes. Yeah, so if you want to find a place, you don't have to go to a light club because the conference room or the meeting room in your company most likely is empty. So you can use that as well. You can see how many people we have. And yes, so there's more villages. And we also post the video of the meetings online. So we cooperate with this online education website. They will like do it free for us to record it and publish it for free. It's Integrity Tech from China. And yes, next one. Malfunction.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey. So one of the things we did in the London group is try to make sure that it's not cliquey and it's very inclusive to everyone who comes along. So one of the first things we do at every meeting, and we've done right from the beginning, is everybody in the room introduces themselves and we get to know each other. Obviously, if you don't want to introduce yourself as your real name or you work for the man or something, then you make something up. But that way, we get people talking and we reintegrate the black shirt wearing hackers from the basements through alcohol and cuddles and talking. So we concentrate on content. So we don't do projects together. We don't do building because we're in London and there aren't any other groups in the UK at the moment. A lot of people travel from quite far to come to the meetings. So we have a couple of talks and then, basically we have like an hour-long serious talk where people are expected to concentrate. And by the time we get to the second talk, because we're in a pub, probably not quite so concentrated and focused, so we have like a funny, wacky talk, usually something that's not necessarily specifically technically hacking, but something we as a hacking community would find interesting. So we've had talks about, homemade torches, how to make a really bright torch, or how to make a thermic lance, or fireworks, or crap like that. So things we all find fun. I think we're quite keen to get to Q&A, so I won't take up any more of your time. Woz is doing something else now. He doesn't care.
You have a lot more time.
That's cool.
Now he tells us.
I would like to add one more thing. As Jason has said, that we should go to the remote areas to teach the kids to start to know what they can do. So I'm planning to bring my DEF CON group to the remote areas to teach the kids the basic stuff, how to shoot the electronics, how a computer works, etc. So I think that would be meaningful. If you guys want to do it with me, I think it would be better. So, yeah. Oh, I named this DEF CON Hacker Tour, but Jeff said that you should add a group. So the name is DEF CON Group Hacker Tour. So actually, to deal with the government is very hard. So I got the support of my companies, my colleagues. They are very good at dealing with them. So they actually there are already projects that where the universities go to the schools to teach the kids. So I will cooperate them to go to the remote areas. So that will to dealing with the government or the police won't be a problem for me.
Very good. Any questions? What?
Yeah, if you have some questions for us, if you could come up here when you ask the question. There's a purpose for that, I promise.
Because we want to put you on the spot, so come on up.
No pies in the face.
But I want to ask a question first. Can you please raise your hand if you're already currently in a DEF CON group? That's awesome. Very cool. How many people want to get into a DEF CON group now that they've been to this panel? Even better. Awesome. Okay, yes.
So I've tried to start a DEF CON group locally, and I'm just waiting. I haven't gotten any response from like my submission, and so I'm like scared to move forward with like buying swag and advertising and stuff like that because I need to ensure I'm not going to like.
You don't need permission. Hack the system. Just
exactly. When did you send it out?
Mid-May.
Oh, you should have gotten a response.
Okay.
You're in the right spot for an answer for that, though, now.
That's why I'm here.
There you go. Awesome.
It went in the black hole.
Yep. The man right there next to you is the guy who to talk to about getting that taken care of immediately.
Thanks.
Awesome. Yes.
Hey, guys. What do you guys do about finances? Do you collect fees or do you take donations?
Oh, that's a
for
great
that?
question. I'm not going to answer.
Yeah, I can kick that one off. So there's when we first started, we had a company that was owned by a friend of mine, and he actually, I guess, sponsored to some extent. And so for some groups, he would send money and basically buy food like pizza and then beer if we wanted it. And then we sort of moved it into a more technical direction, for like Raspberry Pis and things. So that's always an option.
We actually do the opposite. We try not to get money, and we have to refuse it from the venue. So we're in the basement of a pub, and Tuesday nights were a dead night for them. And now we bring over 100 people in once a month, and those people drink and eat. And the normal model, if you're like a comedy club or something, and you're in those venues, you either charge at the door or you take a percentage of the take at the bar. And so when we started bringing in money on a Tuesday night, the pub came to us and said, okay, so now we've reached the level, we should give you a percentage. And we decided that it would just complicate things. We would then have this pool of cash that we then have to do something with. So unless there was a very clear, what do we do with this money, I didn't want to pollute the ethic of it being just a free, open thing with money. So we just say, no, thanks.
Yes.
Actually, the money for my different group is come from my company, and the resources I use, for example, the equipment I use come from my team. So I convinced my leaders to support me. I don't think that by like taking money from company can like pollute the free environment, because I can still like cooperate with other companies. I invite them to join us, but as long as you can get things done, and I think it's good, because the attendees, if they want to come, there's no like obstacles for them to come. I think that's a good thing. And the company that till now they didn't require anything from me at least. Yes.
We did bake sales.
Alligator muffin. So for meeting twice a month, how much work do you think would typically be involved for meeting twice a month for a DEF CON group?
I think it depends on so if I were to meet twice a month, I would look at different options. So we regularly have, now that we built the Retro Pi, so we always have like vintage games or lock picking for people that just want to come hang out, or we'll just throw together something like an older system and some Wi-Fi and do like Wi-Fi hacking basics, or just put planning into if you want to do a bigger project. I think it just depends on maybe the technical maturity of the group or the ones that would be attending on a regular basis. So I think that sort of depends on just the atmosphere and those who attend.
I did a 2 month meeting, 2 meetings a month group. And what we did was we had the first meeting of the month was a social meeting. There were no talks on hacking or anything like that. It was just people showing up and actually interacting with each other and having to talk and get to know what's going on and just, shoot the breeze, and actually in a nice social setting, usually at a restaurant or something. Everybody would just get together and socialize. And then the second meeting of the month would be the technical meeting, where we would actually have projects, or we have someone give a talk, or it's like we would all do like a capture the flag. It would be an actual technical meeting. So it's like you have one social and then one technical to sort of balance it out.
Yeah.
So those are two different kind of options.
I would also give the advice that if you are going to do 2 meetings a month, that, and actually this goes for even if you're just going to have 1 meeting a month, like you can't rely on just one person to run everything. Like if you have like one person that is the point of contact for the meeting or the group or whatever, and like they have to go on vacation or go on an engagement for work or something like that, and then it falls apart every time they're not available. That's not great for the group. So you have to have at least 2, if not more, members who are willing to say like, yeah, we should get some talks together. I'll talk to so-and-so, that kind of thing.
Yeah, something that we do to sort of prevent that too is we make sure to let everyone in the group know, like, hey, there's no like, one, single power in this group. Like, this is a group. So if you have an idea or a project you want to do, just get it ready. Let us know if we need to get supplies, and just bring your idea. Or if you have a talk, just let us know and just bring it. That way it's not, like Grifter said, it's not dependent on one person.
Would it be too hokey to do a quick 30, 45-second pitch of our group?
What?
DEF CON 201?
Where is 201?
North Jersey. So do it? Okay. Yeah, we're DEF CON 201 in North Jersey, about a 7-minute train ride outside of New York City. Sort of similar to what some of these guys were saying. We are a lucky hybrid mashup of an already existing hackerspace and also the strong InfoSec community in New York City. So we have a whole range of people, from noobs to people who are DEF CON OGs and have spoken several times. We do a lot of 3D printing and typical hackerspace stuff, but we're also trying to set up some CTF servers, and we always have InfoSec talks. We meet every 3rd Friday, and we have pretty consistently for the past 6 months, and we just had our first month with a second meeting. It was like you said, we redesigned the website. I'm actually trying to get the IT guy, the sysadmin guy, to deploy that while I'm here now. But if anyone is in the New York City, we get members coming in from very far too, even though there's a robust community there. All the way from Long Island, some people. We have one dude who actually comes in from Philly. If anybody's in that area, in the New York City or North Jersey area, raise your hand or let me know. I'll give you the info.
Now you're a DEF CON speaker.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Do you guys have any tips and suggestions for when you're in more of a rural area? We have a very small 2600 group, and you've mentioned that you kind of split off from 2600 groups, but do you also kind of encourage collaboration with, or maybe even overlapping with?
Yeah, definitely collaboration. Like I said, there's no competition. And also the other thing is, like, one of the things you can do if you got a rural DEF CON group is making sure that you're doing a chat system. It's like doing a Slack channel, or having some kind of interaction on the forums, or like a Facebook profile where you can like take pictures and share a message, and actually maybe invite speakers to Skype in from other locations. It's like reach out to different speakers and different people and say, hey, can you Skype in and do a meeting for us?
Yeah, I think also, so something for Utah, one of the things that we do, because there are so many other organizations, we have like this umbrella organization we call Utah Sec. So like I am the point of contact for DC801 for Utah Sec, and then there's like InfraGuard and the Snort user group, and like so every meeting, like SaintCon, they all have somebody who represents them, and get together and kind of talk about like, oh, hey, you're going to do a talk this month. This way, like the content that gets shared at those meetings normally only once can get spread among a larger group, and usually that means some cross-pollination as well. So if you want to get additional members, I'd encourage like going to some of the other meetings like ISACA or ISSA meetings and things like that that are in the area, and then being like, we want to do a DEF CON group.
Well, the thing is our area is so rural that we don't have much of a tech field, but we know they're hiding in the woodworks, and we're trying to drag them out through having a 2600 and or a DEF CON group.
Smoke them out.
That's what we're trying to do. So yeah, if you have any tips on bringing those people out of the woodwork in such a rural area that doesn't normally have technology in the forefront, that's very helpful.
And you don't always have to do like highly technical things at the meetup too. It could just be like Jason said, the one that they did, it was just hanging out, getting to know like-minded people, or even teaching lock picking, or vintage video games or something, just to start building that community. And then from there, somebody might have an idea or something for a project. So. Sure.
No.
Thank you.
And just one quick second, I want to remind everybody about the DCG Mixer. Come meet the DEF CON Group's organizers after their talk on Friday. This DEF CON Group's Mixer is for all who are or want to become members of the local DEF CON groups. Come to get info, meet peers, and get some DCG swag. There'll be a limited amount of free beer via kegs, courtesy of the Dark Tangent. So that's what he was doing. He was getting the kegs ready. So thank you for that. Where? The Chill Out Lounge, promenade level. When? 1800 to 2000. Friday, which is today. So hope to see you there.
Yeah, I think it starts like right at 6 o'clock. But
Don't tell them that because there's free beer. They'll leave.
Yeah, so
Because-
from here, so come hang out with us and have some free drinks.
So yes.
Okie dokie. So my local DEF CON chapter has been around for quite a while, but unfortunately activity on it's been kind of slow because our past, let's say, council has had to take off due to family and other professional obligations that had to leave, and we're trying to jumpstart it back up at the moment. But I was just kind of curious as to how you would, if you all had any, not just the panel, but anyone else has also had like scheduling conflict issues when you try to get the group, but not everyone's able to participate due to like needs that go beyond it.
I think it's really important to have a regular date. You just have to pick one and stick with it. I mean, we're last Tuesday of the month.
Yeah, you gotta
and
pick
that's
something.
not right for everyone, but nothing's going to be right for everyone.
Exactly. As long as it's consistent. If you move it around, then you'll just lose people all the time, and then the numbers dwindle. Like, just say, like, okay, it's going to be this day every month, and leave it there.
Because people will start planning for it then. So the other thing is make sure you announce. We find we like everyone, we're busy, lazy, useless, and if the months where we announce at least a week in advance, we get a much bigger attendance, and there's even regulars just forget. Okay, oh, is it that Tuesday again? Damn it, I would have come, but I arranged this other thing and I did the thing. So if we had announced a week earlier and reminded them, they would have kept the time free. So, give good information and be consistent.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hi, just to comment back on your internet safety, ISC Squared has a safe and secure online. There's like 2 tracks for like elementary and middle school. There's also another one for seniors. Vetting, work with the teachers, and I mean, they've got a format maybe you can take advantage of.
We might take a look at it. Yeah, it's like we don't want it to be too corporate, because IC Square, but we might want to put a little hacker edge to it. But yeah, that's actually a good resource to steal from. Look at.
We're not competing.
Cool.
Thank you.
So I was wondering when setting up a space for this and working it out, when you get especially the teenage kids, maybe younger kids, how do you cover yourself if they go do something nefarious? Unfortunately, I don't think you can control everybody. So
Just don't attack any of them, and then it's pretty solid.
You just always remind them it's like law enforcement is invited and welcome to these meetings as anybody else. So don't do shady stuff at the meetings.
But if, like myself or a few others, if I'm in charge of it, they have a tendency to come after those people if they do something bad. So
Don't have one person in charge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Pau from DC 170.
Hi, Pau.
Hi.
We are the first DEF CON group in Spain. We are based in Barcelona, and one thing we do there is every year we host a security conference. We made it the people from our DEF CON group, and I want to officially invite all of the other DEF CON groups to attend to this conference, because I think it will be cool, like, to meet everybody from other DEF CON groups and make community there in Spain. In Spain, computer security community is just starting, so that's it. I just want to invite you. We'll host a conference in September, but we do it every year, and Grifter is coming to speak.
Very
and
cool.
If you want more information, want to join us, reach me. I will be around. And just for say that we can help speakers and attendees for hosting them and everything.
Nice. I've been to Barcelona. It's beautiful. So yeah, good place to go.
Thank you.
That was it, guys. Thank you for sticking out. Hopefully you'll go to the mixer and we'll wait for one per question right here. Yes. Oops. You snuck up on me.
Just one question. I intend to create a group for a region rather than one country. So
Right.
apparently you use the area code or the country code for this. So
Right.
how would I do that?
What's the region? The question was he wants to start a DEF CON group for a region, so like several countries, not just one country. What region is it?
I was going to suggest DEF CON GCC, which is Gulf Cooperation Council.
Okay. That is interesting. We will have to take that one
That's a thinker.
offline and look at it because I don't have an answer. And I'm just going to hem and haw a little bit until,
I'll give you a little bit background. I don't remember when I started attending this DEF CON, whether it's the second one or third one. I stopped in 2011, then I came back now. It's much better than what I was expecting.
Oh, very cool.
I'm the ex-chairman of Kuwait IT Society. My background is computer, so I've done a lot. But why I'm doing for the region, because I believe that not having one group is much better than having multiple groups.
Well, it depends. It's like we'll definitely go offline on that because it's like it all depends. It's like I would suggest like having it like having each one for each country. It's like and then just having a group meeting in the different regions. But we'll talk about that offline.
Eventually, the entire region will be one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much. It's once again, guys, thank you for sticking it out. Really appreciate it. And